Hi, this is Dr. Michael Bitzer. I'm a professor of politics and history at Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina, and I'm starting a TikTok video series on political quick takes, giving you some information about North Carolina's politics. North Carolina is going to be a battleground state in 2024, and I thought it might be helpful for the public to know a little bit more about North Carolina and dive into some quick data points about the state as we move through this year's elections. And what I want to first start off with is talking about North Carolina's bipolar political history. North Carolina has a unique political history going back to the end of World War II up to the current time. And I thought it might be helpful to give two kind of data points in terms of the dynamics of what we have seen here in North Carolina's political history. If you take all of the federal elections, and here by federal elections I mean the U.S. presidential votes and the U.S. Senate votes in North Carolina for the period 1948 to 2022, I think you can see some obvious eras in North Carolina political history. From the period 1948 to 1968, the 2 decades, Democrats tended to dominate in both the presidential and the U.S. Senate votes during that time period. But in 1972, North Carolina experienced a significant shift. It was part of the Southern Republican realignment era that really captured North Carolina in 1972. And from 1972 to 1980, Republicans tended to win the majority of the votes cast from the presidential and the U.S. Senate elections. In the period 1984 to 2004, which was really the high point of this Southern Republican realignment in the region, again, Republicans were dominating here in North Carolina, 53 to 45. But once 2008 came along, with President Barack Obama's significant shift in North Carolina voting patterns, we have seen at the federal level a highly competitive collection of elections for U.S. President and for the U.S. Senate here in North Carolina. Combining all those votes from 2008 to 2022 so far, Republicans 51, Democrats 47%. But looking at the next level down the ballot, what we here in North Carolina call the Council of State offices. And these are 10 executive offices elected statewide in North Carolina. If you do the same kind of measurement, looking at these different eras and collecting all of the votes for governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, attorney general, and so forth, in the 1948 to 1968 period, you saw Democrats really dominate at the state level. Almost a 2-to-1 advantage over Republicans. And that continued on, surprisingly, during the period of the Republican realignment in the state at the federal level. At the state level, we were still Democratic dominated. 1984 to 2004, however, saw a shrinking of the margins. Democrats collected 54% of the votes during that 2-decade time period to Republicans 45%. And again, after Barack Obama's significant election and the 2010 Tea Party insurgency within the Republican Party, we see in 2008 to 2020 basically an almost mirror opposite image from the federal elections, 51-49 for the state. So if you take this most recent time period, 2008 to 2022, and look at the federal vote totals, this includes third-party candidates, but if you exclude those and do just the two-party vote, at the federal level, North Carolina appears to be basically a 52-48 state. Doing the same thing for the Council of State elections, and again taking the two-party vote, North Carolina again appears to be a 51-49 state. So as we move into 2024, North Carolina will again have a presidential race at the top of the ticket, but also a highly competitive gubernatorial race along with all of the Council of State races. It will be interesting to see if North Carolina continues its patterns of federal Republican and state Democratic patterns. Thanks for watching.